So today we're going to talk about healing, anger, and gluttony. So let's talk about anger first. Anger might be thought of as feeling that revenge is necessary when someone who could help me, help you, refused to, and especially when they blamed us, or they blamed the rules that no one is enforcing or cannot be arbitrary. Anger when someone ignores, especially when there's been vulnerability shared with them. Anger when there's provocation, someone who tries to exasperate or expose me or you, turns away from me when I'm suffering despite that they can help. I think it's rude. I think anger comes when someone's rude, like they don't return a greeting or skips us in line or grabs something ahead of us that we're clearly going for, lets a door slam in the next person's face. Anger is when you let them into your private sphere, into your world, and they make a mess or do things in a way that we can't like or ruin the order and arrangement that we have. Gluttony is wanting to eat a lot of meat, fatty, salty, cheesy, rich carbs like fries and mashed potatoes and pizza and pasta, bread and cake, soda, chocolate, and without gaining weight or getting health issues. Craving to feel filled up, complete, growing, nourished, nurtured, thriving, rewarded, vitalized, luxury, and treated. Wanting to eat a lot all to the self, like a massive burrito, a big plate of pasta, many rolls of sushi, burgers, Chinese food platters with indulgence and satisfaction. Wishing for no guilt and shame, like for not being totally vegan, I want to say I wrote all this about a year ago, that I felt like I was so fat, or that when I buy or eat food in public, or feeling guilt or shame, or that the Torah says not to be a glutton, and that I felt also I was turning into my father, maybe even my mother. So a healer here, I had a workshop with a group of people facilitated by Nili Weisman. At the sessions were called Living Deeply, really with a sacred text. We each got like a pasuk, but then we had classes, like we were a cohort where we talked about certain topics. So a healer holding space imagines the solution, the potential, the good, the potential solution or the potential good, is not fazed by the sickness and is able to reflect and represent the afflicted one. A healer can share their light and open to the healing powers of the divine and its channels to flow through them. A healer has good intentions and brings the edges of the divide together and lets them connect. A healer uses their harmony to bring out and align the ill one's disharmony through presence. A healer is connected to the source, deeply holding truth, and doesn't require a perfect outcome. I spilled my coffee. A healer is flowing from heart and body into the physical world. I'll say that one again. A healer is flowing from heart and body into the physical world. A healer is not afraid of death, holding hands with life. A healer can carry the weight of revelation, bringing a whole new world and the weight of the remembering of the original world. Renewal, rejuvenation, restoration. A healer is about being gentle with what is broken, softness. A healer opens a space for the mystery to be present so the facilitation of transformation can occur. A healer lets God into the wounds, the symptoms. A healer offers an invitation of wholeness and deep stillness and peace. A healer accompanies someone with peace and love. Stillness and silence. Let's go back. A healer offers invitation of wholeness and deep stillness and silence and accompanies someone with peace and love. And a healer is a shepherd, a midwife, a grief tender, a visionary. Grief tending, personally I wrote this was a collaboration we all did together. Grief tending really speaks to me because the Chabad Lubavitch community did not mourn and move through the loss of the physical presence of the Lubavitch Rebbe, the seventh Chabad Rebbe, and refused to recognize he can be Mashiach, but that doesn't mean things didn't change. And by not acknowledging that, despite for over 30 years he's not in the flesh, new ways of connecting can happen if we learn how to grieve and cope with grief and share that with the coming generations, how to adapt, move on, be in reality, and let go. And tending to grief often involves moving a broken heart, which has become a weapon, facing its shards out against the world and others. Like an armor, like a shield. So tending to grief often involves moving a broken heart to its other half, which matches it perfectly inside togetherness. And the contents of the womb can come out and be exposed in the world that is shared as its own new world, transitioning from the hidden. The last two topics are, one I want to share from the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, we learned the Tanya, and then integrity. What is integrity? So we talked about anger, gluttony. So now I'm going to share about integrity, and I'm going to learn from the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe. So integrity, eating clean and fresh, nutritious and healthy, taking deep breaths and calming down. Being forgiving the way I want forgiveness. Maintaining a direct line to God for healing, for provisions, for guidance. The time I put into exercising, moving, and fitness is what I'll get out of it. And same is for resting, recovery, and restoration time. Being fully honest without sugarcoating or being indirect, whitewashing, making it sound better. Then, in chapter 21 of the Tanya, which was written by the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe, we learned some ideas. The false perception of the godly life force as something separate from God is possibly only because the life force is hidden from the creation by means of something that's called symptom, which is contractions, withdrawal. I know in a previous video somebody was trying to tell me that the symptom is like a voided out space, and they're such an expert, and they basically wrote a mini essay, and I was like, you're not doing symptom when you're writing all this. And I said, look, I grew up with these concepts. I have a grasp of them. I just was using it in a non-traditional, unorthodox way. Okay, continuing. Yeah, in regard to God, no concealment or veil hides or obscures anything from him. To him, darkness or concealment, which is concealment, or light, revelation, are alike, as it's written in Tehillim, Psalms 139, verse 12. Even the darkness does not obscure anything from you. And this may also be interpreted that even the darkness does not obscure, because it derives from you. The veil is itself of divine origin, and therefore it cannot obscure godliness. For as the Alter Rebbe goes on to say, only a foreign body, like only a foreign substance, can constitute an obstruction. One cannot hide from his own self. The veils are not things that are distinct from God, him. When we say him, we mean God. Heaven forfend, since nothing is separate from God, but are like the turtle or snail, whose garment is like its shell is actually part of its body. So too the very shell, that the process of contraction and withdrawal, darkening, that hides godliness, is itself godly. Therefore, in his presence, all else is of absolutely no account. Since God is not affected by the veils, since God is not affected by the veils, makes it possible for a created being to feel separate from him. He perceives so God perceives all the creations brought into being by his word as being still within their source, which is himself. There they are, like cells inside of him. Voided out cells that could be filled with an entity, but it's all from him. From his perspective, they're still non-entities, and the fact of their creation is in no way detracts from his absolute unity. He is one alone after creation, just as he was before creation. And that's a great place to stop, and I look forward to sharing awesome topics tomorrow. Have a good night. A good day. Bye.